Hey everybody, welcome back to Northernlion Plays a Binding of Isaac AFTERBIRTH Plus. Last run was like, that's, you know, everyone knows what that means. It means, of course, we had low DPS for almost the entire run, and we're only able to eventually make it work via being very resourceful with a combination of Void, having sucked up the blank card, and then having the Joker along with it, thereby allowing us to pick up several Deal with the Devil items that eventually, in aggregate, allowed us to eke out a victory. We got Car Battery. Well, I mean, you can see it here. We got Car Battery. We got Jar of Tears, which apparently... It doesn't look to work with Car Battery, but that might just be... the shots are doubled, but it's hard to see them. Alright, Jar of Tears is terrible, but Car Battery's awesome. For right now, I'm like, you know, it's not a great start. Our DPS is fine. You know, more damage than last time, less rate of fire. But in the end, I think that comes out to be a wash. And the problem with the last round wasn't our starting DPS. It was the DPS we ended with, which was... Or the DPS we had around, like, the depths, too. Where, at 25 minutes, we still had not yet been to the mom fight. And I was losing my mind. This one's got, I mean, a little bit of a detriment in the speed category. But apart from that, it seems like, you know, it's got every available chance to do something here. Now, Sinus Infection, Booger... Tears. Very, very solid tear effects. Can't complain. Only thing I'm gonna complain about, because you know, and I said can't complain, is I can't complain about that specifically, but I'm gonna complain about something. It's, well, it's the fact that I didn't move out of the way there, but then it's also the fact that I, have a trash spacebar item. I don't get Isaac's Jar of Tears. It's one of those items where I'm like, the use case doesn't make sense. It's almost like the boomerang, except the boomerang has like a reason to use it to grab consumables and a status effect. Isaac's Jar of Tears, I'm like, there is a use case. If you're being surrounded by incredibly weak enemies, you could press the spacebar and get some work done, okay? I'll give you that. Apart from that, I guess the other thing is that as your rate of fire gets better, it gets better. And then this conversation goes on for like the next 2 minutes, and by the end, I'm like, you know what? That's a pretty good item. That's a pretty good item. No, I don't think I can convince myself of that, to be honest. We are at shop levels of money, great levels of HP, and again, especially since getting Mr. Dolly, like, what a good item. Our tier stat has basically made our DPS stat, well, DPS, not stat really, but our measure is so much better. I'm getting confused here. Stop taking too much damage on these rooms. Just because you got the HP doesn't mean you need to use it. Brother Bobby is worth almost nothing, but now, you know, it's not likely necessarily, but Sacrificial Altar existing in the game gives Brother Bobby a reason to exist. He's like, he wants to be Vord. As we, can we get into like the deeper cut reference to like the Stone Roses? I wanna be Void. You like the Stone Roses? I mean, who doesn't? From the Manchester era? She Bangs the Drums. Classic song. I guess secondhand, but doesn't do that much for us. Still, 2 trinkets every time we press the spacebar, so roughly like the equivalent of a trinket every 2 rooms. This should lead to us getting, and remember the trinket effect is doubled while we hold the mom's trinket box as well. We should be eventually getting a trinket that makes a meaningful difference, whether it's item rooms on the womb, or it's, you know, doubled rate of fire, or a lot of extra damage, or an all stats upgrade. You know, there's many, many good options. Let's start here. Even Locust of Famine with a doubled effect is pretty good. So you might think I'm crazy, but I'm not the only one. But we're gonna grab both of these items. The book is just for bookworm reasons. You wouldn't understand them, Mom. But Sin Robes is obviously for, you know, I would like to kill enemies faster than I presently am. And I think, like, we're already probably closing in on, like, twice as strong as we were on the last run. Everything working together in aggregate here is, it's gonna take me. The only, and I don't want to spend the whole run talking about last run, you know? It's kind of a weird living in the past. My presence is a present, kiss my what, you know. But at the same time, sorry, I didn't mean to quote a politician, you know? Get these videos into controversial territory. The only reason I was at all, like, offended with the last run was because we had blank card Joker, and we took so long to get any kind of momentum. It's like, that seed, if we missed one of those, like, if you missed blank card or Joker, we might have been destroyed. We were, like, mired in a miasma of mediocrity and alliteration. So Black Rune is just hanging, just being cool, you know, doing what it does. We're gonna save that for a better situation. Ooh, Brother Bobby, you have become deleterious. Now, I'm sorry I said that because I just walked into the fire. And you realize, you know, nobody's more deleterious than your own self in some situations. Something really funny about insulting someone or something with an overly long and complicated word. You're a charlatan, Brother Bobby. You know, somebody calls you like a jerk. Well, jerk is not that bad, I guess. But, you know, there's a lot of four-letter words you can use that are worse than that. You're like, man, that stings. Somebody calls you a rascal. You're like, a rascal? Not a rapscallion? Who's your favorite rapscallion, by the way? Mine's Lil Onion. This is an extremely bad joke, and if you laughed, I would like you to close the video right now and just think about what you've done. Yes, it's a pun. No, it's not good. If a pun is like a class 4 protected narcotic by the DEA. It's like if you laugh at it, I'm sorry, you're a cyber criminal. Oh, that's not where you step there, bud. Making some terrible positioning mistakes here. Okay. Well, the run is still amazing, and it's really just a result of the fact that I've gotten so many spirit hearts. But they're not going to last forever, because we've already gotten, like, most of the items, or at least we've started to mill the pool of items that can give you spirit hearts for no discernible reason. Like sin robes, for example. Euthanasia is an incredible item when it works. It also contributes to spun, which we're very close to getting. And 28 cents, excuse me. All you Edens with your 28 cents, better go, go to the shop. All you Edens with your 28 cents, better go to the shop. Buy yourself a champ belt. There isn't a champ. Okay. I don't know, man. Like, it's all bad. There's something to be said about fanny pack. And even Buddy in a Box can be interesting, but I don't want to. You know, we have many shops to go. Which is great, because I'm going to get a chance to bust out that song more often. You can fill in the blanks. That's not a song you hear at Disney World. Lockdown. The video came out where I revealed the fact that I knew almost none of the current Billboard Hot 100. And now people have started asking me questions. They say, like, hey, who's this song by? As far as I'm concerned, it's roughly the same level as asking, like, a colorblind person what color something is. I'll just tell you the answer. I don't know. I have no idea who sings whatever. You know, I have no idea who sings the song that I'm Han Solo is based on. I was in Corey's stream last night. Somebody requested, you know, something that can't stop my sign. I'm loving Cloud City, my head's in the sky. I'm so low, I'm so... I don't know who sings the original. Somebody requested it in Corey's channel last night. And I was like, it's the Han Solo song. It took me until verse 2 to be like, what's this ripoff of the Han Solo song? And then I was like, oh, it's not even the... It's not the parody, it's the original. Ooh. Excuse me. Mind you, that song at this point has got to be like 8 years old, right? It was only 8 years old. It's a Michael... Well, it's not a Michael Caine reference. It's a reference to The Trip, which has many Michael Caine-related bits in it. Not gross bits, you know what I mean. There's some parts of the movie that are a little gross, but it's mostly like an affable British comedy about what it means to be a, you know, professional man who's getting older. Haven't seen it. That's a joke. I watched it on an airplane. Dude, I was watching, so I watched a movie called The Death of Stalin recently. It's amazing. It's an incredible movie. Hilarious. Lots of fun. But also, you know, some sharp political commentary in it. Mostly related to the 1940s. But anyway. The 50s, I guess, when was, Stalin probably died in the 50s. Anyway. Steve Buscemi's in it. Steve Buscemi, whatever you want to say, okay? It's his name. He should have to pronounce it. He plays Nikita Khrushchev, who is a bald man. He has the horseshoe, the Costanza, the Larry David, you know? The Chris Maloney. You know what I'm talking about. Your high school math teacher had it. Maybe one day you'll have it too if you're lucky. And this is extreme gatekeeping, but as I was looking at it, I was like, that's not a real horseshoe. And that's fine. He did an amazing job in the role. I'll be straight up with you. But that's not a real horseshoe, Steven. They have shaved your head to look like you're balding. But you're not actually balding. You're just putting on bald head. I don't know if that should be allowed, personally. I mean, like, I can grow a horseshoe. You could just, and you're gonna say, like, how'd you know he's not really bald? Dude, when you're bald, you can tell. That was a perfectly curated horseshoe of hair. There were, like, razor lines in it. That's not how it works. Goes in patterns, and different parts of it grow at different speeds, and some of it disappears before some else of it disappears. I'll take it. And I'm not saying he shouldn't be allowed to do it, but should he be allowed to do it? No, he should. But should he though? Yes. Okay, moving on. I just thought it was funny. I've never noticed that in a movie before. I was like, this guy's a fake bald. They didn't get a real bald guy. Instead, they just had some old white guy shave his head. And I was like, I get it now. Scarlett Johansson, Ghost in the Shell, I understand. Anyway, that was mostly a joke, or was it? You'll never know. Get me out of here. Retrovision, terrible. Puberty, we're closing in. We're one away, I think, from the puberty change. Dude, I wish that was how puberty worked in real life. When you're like 13 years old, you just hear like an ominous bell ring once. Dong! Your parents are like, that's the puberty bell. When it rings 3 times, you know what's gonna drop. Your respect for us, but also something anatomical. Doesn't work like that. I only vaguely remember, you know, having a conversation basically with myself that's like, did I go through puberty? I guess I did. Because, like, there's hair and desires. But it isn't like, you know, it's not like a quinceañera or something like that. It's just kind of like there's a few year period where it's like a lightning strike. It can hit you, or you can wait and not realize why either way. Human beings are super weird. That's why we should all be like the androids in Blade Runner. A feel-good family movie that, well, if there were any lessons to be gleaned about humanity in it, I must have missed them. Much to my surprise, I find myself almost in the same situation as we were in last time. The difference is, DPS is better. We're ahead of schedule for boss rush, which we do not want to go to. But last time, we were, you know, directing our ire towards the fact that we had 20 deals with the devil, and then the deals with the devil did not see fit to provide us with things that single-handedly took us to, you know, the promised land. This time, what I'm salty about is the fact that we have Mom's Box of Trinkets and Car Battery, and yet we're still rolling a trinket that's like, you know, B class. It's not horrendous. It's just much worse than you would expect given the number of rolls that we've had, the number of cracks at the Curiosity Cube of Peter Molyneux that we've bought in the lottery so far. And we're still waiting. Didn't work, but you knew where my head was at there. You need Sackboy. You need a Spirit Heart. I think you should try this. It's a slightly better trinket, I think. Real sorry about that. It shines for its brothers. Box of Spiders is fine, and especially being doubled is actually potentially extremely good. But I have an obligation, at least in my head, to stick with this box of trinkets. Because I know, I mean, it doesn't have to be the cancer trinket anymore, and it doesn't have to be, Curved Horn anymore, although I would love it. It could be Cracked Crown. That's a great one. It could be, not Bloody Penny, but Bloody Crown, I think is the one. You know, that gives you item rooms when you go down to the womb. That's not 10 out of 10, and it's a bit of a dice roll, but it's still interesting. It could be 11 out of 10, depending on what you get out of it, right? That was horrendous. I'm just waiting on something a little bit better. You know, this is the trinket we've got right now. This is the kind of trinket where you look at it, and if you just got it randomly, you'd be like, that's a good drop. But when you've sacrificed, you know, your entire spacebar slot for 4 floors to try to make something better happen, now you find yourself being a little bit like, I don't know. If one of these has an item, I'll consider that a great blessing. None of them have an item, so this was basically just a waste of everybody's time, especially mine, but also yours as well. It's okay, I'm not bitter. I'm not bitter. I mean, yeah, we lose out on potentially getting a game-winning item as a result of the fact that that room just had 5 red chests in it, and all the red chests are balanced around like 80% of the time they give you garbage. 10% of the other 20% of the time, they just teleport you back into the room that you're already standing in. Doubling the effect of Counterfeit Penny is actually pretty tempting, but not now. Earlier would have been a little bit better. It is what it is, though. We can't complain too hard. I mean, we got a good rate of fire. We got good damage. We got a great tier effect in the form of our booger tiers. And we were really buoyed throughout a lot of the run by the Sin Robes, Spirit Hearts, and the same thing from Mr. Dolly. So now we got Sack of Sacks, or Sack Boys. So we should be totally fine, but, you know, things change sometimes. I think we will have a crack at boss rush. And, you know, it's anybody's guess, especially if your guess is no, whether or not we'll do it. Right now, I'm feeling a little pessimistic about boss rush. But it doesn't take much, you know, to pull this run out of the doldrums. I don't even want a left hand right now. One big thing would be just getting another syringe. That would be worth a ton. We'd get spun. It could be growth hormones or something like that. Why even? Yeah, you get the idea. Well, I'm trying to... This is a teleportation out of boss rush, so we should be happy with that at the very least. Dude, I didn't even know there were this many trinkets in the freaking game. Stop that. No, thank you. So there's still blank card available. If we wanted to be the ultimate scumbags, blank card Emperor is probably a pretty easy win. But I think we'll just use the Emperor to get out of boss rush, because I'm not about that scumbag lifestyle. Try to treat myself with respect and honor. That's why I don't wear short skirts when I go out of the house, okay? My parents taught me you dress in your Sunday best. I wear a blouse made out of a paper grocery bag. There's 6 words on it. Praise the Lord, praise the Lord. The second one has an exclamation mark. And if you don't know what that is, must be a millennial. I don't even know where I'm going with this bit. Sometimes you just throw something at the wall and you see if it sticks.
Tears up.
Dude, that was sick. Tears up, adult transformation. I'm Drowsy is great, but it's one of those things where like you recognize it's great, but I don't want it. You know? Like a government job. Like I see the perks. I just don't think it's for me right now. Well, this is going to be a decently large moment here. When we finish this fight, we will almost certainly have access to boss rush. We have a 1/3 chance of a deal with the devil, which could change everything. We're going to have, you know, if we could get a good item from boss rush, that could change everything. All sorts of potential ramifications in play rate. It's the last day of the NBA season. What's happening? Small Rock? Spirit Heart? The D100. Well, if that's the only way you can get spun, that's the only way you can get spun. You might as well Joker card, right? Like, oh, okay, so 8 of these in a row then. This one actually contains a free item, so I can no longer be mad. And we got transformed into Guppy. So that's why the D100, I just want to, and this is, I got a chip on my shoulder. No, don't call me off, okay? I gotta say this. This is why I don't want you to think I'm an enemy of the Zane when I ignore the D100 or when I say like, you know, I don't think it'll really fit right here because it's just too good. I love it. I take it all the time. But it's just like a little bit too good some of the time. So don't think that I'm trying to deprive you of a D100 run when I ignore this item. The only time I ignore it is when it showed up too recently.
Bombs are key.
Mostly, at least. On this run, it like by itself saved us. I mean, we went from, are we going to be able to like survive boss rush, to maybe we'll do Hush just because. We do also have to see what our next roll contains. And that's the other thing about D100. I owe you a roll. Sounds like an old British song. Oh, Yorkie owes us all rolls, for we brought Yorkie the yeast. Oh, Yorkie owes us all rolls. And then you gotta tie it into some kind of like, you know, terrible thing that was happening in society at the time. For the pestilence and disease. Kids will be singing that 40 years from now. Did you know that song was about norovirus? It was about the listeria outbreak from Bluebell ice cream? I apologize to my English audience, okay? It's not my interpretation of the English accent, and I know there's not an English accent. My interpretation of English accents is not flattering, but that's because it's an exaggeration, and exaggeration is the most flattering form of flattery, which is the most flattering form of imitation. So, ergo, you're welcome. I always wonder, well, I've been thinking about it like more recently, you know? What did you do at a family gathering in like the 1800s? Everybody must have just sang all the time back then, right? Because what else is there to do? Papa, read us the one story again. Papa can't read. If I've told you that, I've told you that 100 times. What is this? It's no wonder everybody was singing all that time back then. I always thought it was weird my grandparents knew like 1,000 hymns. I'm like, I know one. Good God, and God love it. Such a surprise to find you can't stop it. That's not even the tune at all, but... So how do you know that many hymns? And I'm like, oh right. When you were born, the highest form of entertainment was the radio. Like, I got nothing against the radio. You didn't even have, like, This American Life back then. You were listening to a procedural, like, nobody knew what they were doing. It was like the early days of YouTube. Hey, it's Tim's Toy Review. I'm gonna take a look at the SpongeBob SquarePants action figure. Papa, turn on Tim's Toy Review. Apparently they still used Papa, even though those were meant to be days that were wildly diverse from one another. I want to get another reroll. This run's good, but it's too good. Classic problem. I will fight Mega Satan. I mean, this is the thing. D100 saved this run from the doldrums of mediocrity. It's like Usher swooping down, giving a career to Justin Bieber. Which Usher? Usher Raymond. Who do you think I meant? The Usher at your local multiplex? Unlikely. Now this run, certainly still very good. Possibly even better than our last run. But Mom's Knife, not that interesting. And if you're rolling the D100, you want some kind of cool Zane. You know, you want a tier effect of some sort, usually. No 9 lives, please? Thank you so much. Can you just back the frig up? Like, I have knives, okay? Like, it's not like I have a gun. Range benefits you as much as it benefits me. Just get out of my face. Live in the open all over the place and singing. We are Walmart. You guys see that video? If you've ever worked at a place like that, and you didn't shed a tear upon seeing that video for all the unfortunate souls that were part of the We Are Walmart cheer. Honey, we're a brand, we're a big brand. Lowering our prices to murder all the small businesses. You got mud on your face, you big disgrace. I've done, you know, I haven't worked a quote-unquote real job in a long time. We have 0.58 speed. I have to keep going and get another reroll. This is very strange. We could probably win on this, but why punish ourselves? I actually worked at a company that did team building exercises, and most of them were good, but even good team building exercises, oh, this is very weird with the bone hearts, are embarrassing for somebody that's just there as like a temp, basically. Like, I get if you're like, this is where I'm gonna work until I get fired or retire or die. And there's nothing wrong with that. I admire that level of job security. But I was there as like a summer student. And they, you know, I had to do an interview because there was a company newsletter that goes out, and they're like, meet our employees. And they're like, what are your hobbies? And I'm like, I don't know, I'm in college, so mostly like 9 months out of the year, I hang out with my friends all day and probably drink too much. But that doesn't sound good in the newspaper. So I mentioned that, you know, a couple times that summer I had done stand-up comedy, and then for the rest of the summer after the newsletter came out, people would go, hey, that's so cool that you're into stand-up comedy. And I'm like, well, I'm not really into it. I mean, I thought you knew the deal, that you just sort of like, you come up with something to give the paper and then you move on with your life. Hey, how'd your set go? Haven't done a set in like 2 months, and the first one went real badly. Thanks for asking. Hey, thanks for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed the episode. If you did, click the like button. It helps a great deal. Of course, subscribe if you want to see more in the future. For now, thanks for watching. I will see you next time.